George, there's a lot of figures that people say 1 in 5 or more people will have depression at some stage in their life. But something that has been of interest and in some respects concern to me is, do we tend to label everybody who feels sad, sometimes for good reasons, as having depression? People may have some of the symptoms of depression, but does that make them depressed? You know, if you've had a breakup with your partner or you've got some financial worries, it's going to be quite normal to have some of those symptoms. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have an illness. And differentiating those two can be a little bit tricky. But also, you've spoken before about how one can sort of lead into the other as well.
Yes. Okay, so circumstantially, we are right to feel down. You know, when things go wrong, we lose a loved one, we break up in a relationship, like, of course you're going to feel sad, unmotivated, and down. These are all the symptoms of being depressed, right? Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If we are dwelling and all our thinking around what's happened gives us no resolution, and we're not getting the support, we're not creating opportunities to fill our life with something better so we can move on. So what happens is, when you subject a brain to prolonged relevance of why life is too hard, why you haven't mattered enough to someone, why you're incapable, undeserving, the brain adapts your personality to carry that way of being without your conscious intervention, which means you've disconnected from your circumstances of why you're down, and now that's your default position.
Right.
So the problem there is now...
So you've incorporated into your being.
Yes, and now there is no circumstances linked to it, and that's probably the closest I can come to understanding and appreciating what clinical depression is, why people can be labelled and assumed perhaps genetic reasons or not. But for me, I just can't accept that we're all created by nature to then be flawed in such a bizarre way. But I can, through explaining it that way, appreciate and understand that we can disconnect consciously why we're depressed.
Well, we know that for people with what's diagnosed as mild and moderate depression, that medications called SSRIs, so I won't give any trade names, but they're the most widely used group of medications, are no better than placebo.
Right.
And people often do get better, but they're getting better because they've been told, take a pill and you'll get better. So the taking of the pill does make them feel better rather than what the pill or the active ingredient is doing in a lot of these people. And that's a significant number. When they did trials, when the published trials were put out, it showed about 90-something% benefit with medication. When they included unpublished trials, and probably they were unpublished because they didn't give the result that was looked for, it came down to about 50%, which again is no better than placebo. So people feel better, but they're not feeling better because of the actions of the chemicals on the brain. They're getting better because they actually believe they're going to get better.
Yes. So the way I'm understanding this is that when you tell someone that they were flawed in some not understood way, right? But thanks to the pill, they now can expect life to be better.
Yeah.
Right? So now the brain, which is quite gullible, can start to go, oh, right, the world is better. And the reticular activating system starts to look for why it's better, and guess what? It'll find it.
And if we believe something, it doesn't immediately make it so, but it certainly makes it much more likely. So you're right, we look for reasons to reinforce that, yes, we are getting better.
Well, it's a real self-fulfilling prophecy. You end up living your beliefs. It's why two people can be on a roller coaster and one's in heaven and one's in hell. It's because we're living what we believe, that what that roller coaster means to us.
Yeah, the other important thing, which sounds so obvious but often gets overlooked, is if there are specific problems that people have, then it is about dealing with them. If it is relationship, if it is money, if it is work, there's not always immediate, obvious solutions. But if people are really, and I do see this at times, so stressed out, they really dislike their job so much, Okay, it doesn't mean you should just go in and quit tomorrow, because there might be a whole range of other reasons that you need to keep working, but at least you can acknowledge, well, that's the problem, I need to start looking for something else rather than feel that I'm powerless to change the situation.
Yeah. You know, the saddest part about depression for me is that when you're disconnected and you just don't know how to get out of it, and no part of your awareness, no part of your environment is actually resonating, that's actually quite a sad state. And I can understand how giving someone some reprieve with some chemical assistance, that then they kind of feel normal again, but the numbing of their senses goes against nature. We're here to live life, not be numbed from it. So that tells me that our relationship to ourselves is flawed. And if we don't have processes to reclaim our worth and get in touch with our nature to be capable, then we are doing a disservice to these people who are stuck, not to give them a way out of some form of assumption that it's a blatant lie.
And look, just probably quickly before we finish, there are other things that are very helpful, just general for mood. And the 101 stuff, doing some regular exercise. We know people are 40% less likely to suffer depression, getting enough sleep, managing your stress, and diet, getting the right nutrients, not having too much sugary processed foods, having adequate amounts of vitamin B6, zinc, magnesium. Again, it's 101 stuff, which is not a cure or a specific treatment. Always got to underline that. Get the basics right, that also makes a big difference, and all the things you spoke about.
We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like Healthy Minded, please subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and share with your friends. Please put comments below whether you agree, disagree, if you've got topics you'd like for the future. And until next time, stay healthy minded.